morning and welcome to Viewpoint, your program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. This morning we have a rather special guest, but those of you, two of you listeners out there will remember that we always try to start Viewpoint with a kudo or two. Mr. Kirby, with your leave, I'm going to make a kudo to our guest this morning, who appeared last weekend at a celebration. The Lincoln Community Theater celebrated 50 years of existence, and they put on a very nice program over the weekend. And one of the participants been with us this morning. They did an outstanding job, and it kind of showcased the fact that we have local talent.
Absolutely.
And they really, all of them did a fine job. So, with further than that, I'm just going to turn the introduction over to Mr. Kirby.
Okay. Well, I'm going to extend on that kudo because you're a little remiss. There were, at that particular event, there were 3 inductees that were first recognized as I forget the exact name. It's not the Hall of Fame, but the Lincoln Community Theater. They were given awards for their service to the board as well as activities within the theater. Of course, they were the 3 Jeans with Lincoln Community Theater: Jean Doherty, Jean Hanlon, and your betrothed, Jean Gossett. So I think kudos are in order for them as well.
Oh, don't do too much of that. She's hard enough to live with now as it
okay.
is.
All right. Well, I was going to go another direction. This week was the Emmys, and I know they were giving out awards for acting. If there was a Best Lead Actor in a Comedy award given out at the LCT event, I think it would have gone to J.P. Doherty because his impression of his mother on Friday night was impeccable. It took me back to 2nd and 3rd grade at Beeson Elementary School. So, but anyway, you're right. It was a great event, which included our guest today, Mr. David Helm, who directed the a cappella rendition of Over the Rainbow, and
which was very neat, by the way.
Yeah, very
quite nice,
very good. And in his spare time, is principal at the local high school. So, Mr. Helm, thank you for joining us.
And wearing that helmet is the reason we asked Mr. Helm to give up his time, which he does very freely, to come and visit with us, talk about District 404 out there on Prim Road. It's pretty hard for us old-timers to kind of reconcile the fact that the school is no longer down there on Broadway Street, and for a number of years has been out there at the end of Prim Road. And you recently made a physical change to the property out there, and that's one of the things I want to talk to you about first, Mr. Kirby, is what they did out there. So, Mr. Holmes, tell us a little bit about what the board decided to do and went ahead and did.
Well, we looked at our efficiency as far as electric bills and energy bills, and it was suggested to us we upgrade the windows and add the EFS to the entire building. So 2 years ago, we replaced all the windows over the summer, and then added the new face of the building to cover up all the brick that was there prior to. So it was definitely an upgrade to the look, but also for energy efficiency, to make it a more sustainable building for the long term for our community.
So you accomplished that to start with, and that was your primary purpose, but aesthetically, it just looks nice.
Oh, it looks great. You come down from Mount Pulaski on 121, and you can see it in the distance. In fact, I mean, it kind of blended in with the friendship across the street and the wreck, and now it's quite unique, and you can see it from quite a ways out. So when you're coming into town, you can tell, well, that's the high school building, and it does
really
look quite sharp.
Good, yeah. Inside the high school, Mr. Kirby, I want to ask him a question about Mr. Helm's kind of maybe perhaps favorite, not necessarily pet, but his favorite project. Let's tell us about the things you're doing with the students out there. You have a program out there which I think came right from your heart and head. And so tell us a little bit about this program that is working so well with our students. For
the advisory period, years past, I think it started with Channel 1. When Channel 1 started back in the 90s, or maybe possibly late 80s, students were introduced to so many minutes of news each day following the school announcements and the pledge. And then that kind of evolved into a silent sustained reading where the students were encouraged to develop literacy skills and read silently each day dedicated towards literacy. And then this year, we've taken that 12 minutes and doubled it into a 24-minute period. We call it an advisory period. And we basically took our student body, divided them into 41 peer groups, so roughly 16 students per peer group, and each one of them is assigned an advisory supervisor. Our staff members, they all have their own room, and basically created a peer group amongst our student body. So each peer group has 4 individuals from each grade level, from all walks of life, all sorts of interests, just randomly put in there, and they get to explore social emotional learning. Mental health is quite a huge factor. What we want to do is make school a great place to be, where the students want to be there. So if they're in a peer group and they're happy and their needs are met, they're going to learn better, right? So in that peer group, we've got all walks of life, and then we also have the opportunity to bring clubs and activity meetings back to the school day. In the past, if you wanted to come to a club meeting or an activity meeting or a sports meeting, it had to be after school. Some students just couldn't make it. They have to travel on to go to work, go home, ride the bus, or just couldn't find a ride home from after the meeting. So bringing those back to the school day was an excellent opportunity, and we've seen the benefits of that immediately. At our first ag meeting a couple weeks ago, had over 60 students show up to the ag meeting. So it's allowing the students a little more equitable experience because they're already there. We tucked it in between second and third hour, so after second hour, every student goes to advisory to have that peer group experience, and then on to third after that. Along with that, we also have the opportunity to have faculty meetings, so the whole science department can schedule a meeting and actually meet during the school day wherever they're all available during that advisory period. So their advisory students will go to the auditorium and have a project or something together, and then the faculty can have meetings. So it's beneficial to all.
You're supposed to ask questions of which you're not sure off air. That's me. I'm not sure. But were you a part of the Mount Pulaski school system, sir, before you came to Lincoln?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yep, I've been at Lincoln.
Nice to be right. Yeah.
This is my 5th year at Lincoln. I was 4 years in the assistant principal role, and this is my first year as principal role, which has been a nice transition. Things are going well. Mr. Pelker preceded me, and I feel that he was a good mentor and really, showed me the way, said this is how it is, and really great to work with him. But prior to Lincoln Community High School, I was at Mount Pulaski for 10 years as music director.
So you're steeped in Logan County education then, certainly.
Yeah, I've been here for a while.
648-5510. Our guest this morning is Mr. David Helm, local boy, by the way. He lives over there, as Billy Randolph used to say, Chestnut. Billy was a good friend of mine, a great guy, but he could never pronounce his S's, and it was always Chestnut. So, by the way, I asked Mr. Helm if a restaurant over there in Preston, he says it's doing fine, so we're happy to know that. A little history there. We interviewed the couple who run that restaurant just about the time that they were naturalized. And that was kind of an exciting thing. They were really proud of that, and so good for them. As you sit in your desk each morning, Mr. Helm, is there one particular abiding thing that kind of bothered you that you'd want to attack or work on?
Well, so I come to work, I skip in because it's a great job. Nowhere else do you get to come and work with teachers and students to create their future. Right?
Pay attention
so
to this man's attitude,
are coming out
folks.
of high school,
yeah.
and they're starting the rest of their lives, right? So it's a great experience. I love coming to work. What gets me going, what I think we could improve on, is our youth attitude and having a good time when they come to school. Our teachers are great. The subject matter is great. They're highly qualified. They do a good job with the kids. So we want to make good quality experiences for the students when they're at high school. So, I mean, you think back to your high school, do you remember all your science and math lessons, or do you remember homecoming week, or the play that you might have been in, or, you know, those meetings and the friendships that you had? You know, you still got educated, right, Dr. Gossett? You know, you still made it through with your education just fine, but you remember the good times, and that's what's important.
Well, my dad suggested to me, I was so small, and I knew I was never going to be a football player by any stretch, but my dad suggested to me, I asked the coach to be a manager. That's one of the best pieces of advice he ever gave me while I was in high school. I worked 4 years under Roy S. Anderson, and I learned a lot of things. And he always told me I was the best manager he ever had, and my dad says he always tells that to all the managers, Bill. But the academics and intramurals, they're very important to a youngster at that high school age. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of the speech team and things, and those things kind of rub off and stay with you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Every experience you have in high school is to give you a flavor of life, to see what tastes good so you know what you want to do afterwards, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned with the advisory period, a couple things that struck me about that is, number one, you mentioned it was a cross-section of students. It's not just all freshmen or all sophomores that are in the particular peer groups. So you get those people interacting with people that are out of maybe their normal circle of friends. And then number two, I think you mentioned it before we went on the air when we were talking, it is actual interaction between people. It's not just looking at a phone and texting one another or updating Snapchat or whatever. It's actually conversation and interaction, which obviously is a needed skill, and no matter what field you go into, whether it's customer service or radio broadcasting or teaching or whatever, those communication and interactive communication skills with other people are certainly important, and it's, you know, kudos to you for working that into the sessions.
Well, it's something we've noticed. You know, we spent 1.5 years digitally learning, right? So you communicate with all your peers via a Zoom or a screen, and screen time, you know, new word in our society. So we're trying to get away from that, but you develop relationships on a personal level when you put those screens down, and our students need to hone those skills. You know, a live interaction with another human being is quite important, and when we can learn how to interact with each other and know that there's somebody out there, they might do something completely different than what I do, you know, but they might have the same problems I do, so we can all move forward together. And another aspect of that, your seniors, they've been in high school 4 years, they know how to walk on the right side of the hall, and they can help the freshmen with that. And so we had conversations. How do we go through the lunch line? You know, where did we go with this? And it wasn't teacher-led, it was student-led. So the students get to interact and learn, this is how I can be a quality high school student. This is how I can survive in high school, because you have each grade level to help guide the future of the Lincoln Community High School graduate.
And as you said, it's not teacher-led, so it's coming from a peer rather than a teacher sort of dictating this is how you do it. So might stick a little bit better with the students receiving the message, perhaps.
Most definitely. You know, and you know, we wanted to create positive interactions with adults and students. So in the peer groups, in the advisory, there's no grades. You know, you participate at the level you want to participate in, but hopefully our advisory sponsors and our students are creating those relationships where if a student is having an issue, they can go to that. There's just another person in the building that they can go to with a problem. But along with that, students are more apt to go to a peer of their own age with issues versus going to an adult. So we've explored that, and that's definitely something that we're adding to that advisory period as well, is to how to interact, but how to navigate issues and ask for help from your peer group. So it's beneficial.
Principal Helm, when you started college, did you have education as your career? Was that in one of your goals as you started freshman in college?
Well, it was good enough for Dad. It's good enough for me. We order the same thing at the steakhouse. He just knows what was right. So I'd follow Don Helm and do anything that he's done because he's lived a great life and he's my hero. So I would say that,
Think of that.
In 4th grade, I knew I was going to be a band director. I hadn't even started band yet, but it was good enough for Dad. So when we moved to Lincoln, I started the music here with the Buffingtons out at West Lincoln, and they got me hooked on music just as my father was a band director, and I've just followed that path. So I knew I was going to be in education pretty much from the time I was no longer going to be a clown or a farmer or a fireman. I'm going to be a music teacher. So that was the direction I took. I knew from a very early age that's where I wanted to go.
Well, that vaccination took then. Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. And didn't need a booster either. Physically, we've discussed briefly the changes to the physical part of the building, and you're starting on something else now. We're going to have a little better athletic facilities. You want to talk a little bit about the new athletic fields that we're going to be able to present to our kids?
Yeah. The softball field and the baseball diamonds are all getting new turf. So we've gutted the old backstops, fences. We've added new backdrops. New netting is going up soon, and then all of the infields for both baseball and softball are getting AstroTurf, similar to the junior high. And I'd imagine that AstroTurf is going to continue to migrate towards the football field. We're also getting ready, preparing our track and field events for postseason activities. So we've poured some concrete. We are changing the 100 meter to the new home side, which is more of the west, and then we're going to have 8 lanes all the way around. And the track is getting overhauled, and a new top is getting poured onto that. And then we've also added a pole vault pit, jumping pit, and then the triple jump, long jump pit has been moved to outside of the track area. So track and field is definitely getting an upgrade for sure.
Go ahead.
And then I can't remember if you mentioned it or not, but also adding an 8th lane to the running surface, which, as you mentioned, will make it a possible host for some postseason activities. So definitely. I wanted to go back for a second before we get too far away from it. You mentioned how you began as a music teacher and now obviously in the administration. Something that I don't think a lot of people realize is that there is, and I don't have a statistic for it, but I know there are a lot of music teachers as well as athletic coaches that sort of wind up in administrative positions. From you're taking a group of people and you're leading them in whether you're directing a band or a choir or an athletic team. Are some of those skills, do you find yourself using some of those skills as a music teacher to kind of help direct people and students and faculty in your administrative duties?
I've never thought of it that way, but it definitely, if you're dealing with a larger group, obviously music teachers and coaches have larger groups than the normal class size. I guess that could easily be, you're dealing with 70 kids at a time or a full football squad. I can see that being a help in understanding and guiding larger groups. I haven't really thought of that direction. I honestly, I grew up in the Boy Scouts. Went through the ranks, worked at Boy Scout camp, went through the leadership out at Ingersoll Scout Reservation by London Mills, and worked on the administration staff there. And that's really, my experience with leadership of the masses. So that's where I came from, but I can see that. I've got other music teachers that have left the music classroom to become administrators.
Once again, the old man committed his usual weekly transgression and forget the poor sponsors that are chomping at the bit, waiting to get their message. Mr. Ash? Right back live in the studios here, WLCN 96.3 on your FM dial. Our guest this morning, Mr. David Helm, Local boy made good, so to speak. I just said off air, kind of had the Jack growing up, the Jack Armstrong All-American Boy, or about him. Parents very, very involved in helping their son get straightened, and they didn't have to straighten him out. He just kept going the straight path for the day he was whelped. So,
there'd be a debate on that,
Bill. Well, we could arrange for that too sometime soon. How many band members did you have in your band over there in Lincoln? It used to be a real strong music program.
In Lincoln here, or in Mount Pulaski?
No, in Lincoln. I said over, and I meant right here.
Yeah, in Lincoln, when I was in band, we had around 100. The Marching 100, it was kept strong. Tony Corpus was a great leader. Privileged to work. He was followed. I still bring out some Tony Corpus's isms, but when I was a director, he was a big influence on me, and some of his idiosyncrasies I kept and used them as a band director. I thought they were quite good strategic ways to get the kids to do what they needed to do. So we had 100 in the marching band here through 97. My sisters, they were in band, and when we moved here, 89, 90, so they're graduates in Lincoln High School. They were solid. The marching band was solid. Took up the whole stage for the concerts as well.
Well, they're a fun group to listen to and to watch, and it's a good PR statement for the school too.
Most definitely.
I had a kid, a friend of mine, when I was in University of Illinois, and he was in the great marching band over there, which is still one of the great marching bands in the collegiate world. He never played a note, but they wanted him to. He was in the band over there, but they wanted an individual, a body in this particular position on the marching. So he would march and carry his horn and never play a note.
Well, I had the privilege on Saturday this past weekend. The marching band was at a competition up in Washington. So my son and I went up to the Bass Pro in Peoria, and then ran out to see the marching band play. They sound really great. They're not quite 100, but there's different times, and COVID put a big kink in the arts as we moved through. But they're solid. They marched on the field, and my son and I, were both into it. They sounded amazing. They actually swept the competition in their class. Best drum major, best flags. It was really good. So they're still pretty solid. Nigel Range is doing a great job out there at the high school in the band.
Well, that's an interesting thing. They have a lot of Sousa stuff over there in their museum over there at the Champaign campus. And as a matter of fact, I think they have a Sousa room over there, all kinds of George Sousa stuff or whatever. So go ahead, Loyd.
You mentioned the ugly word COVID. A lot of stories have been in the news lately about how COVID has impacted teachers in terms of mental health, and in terms of teachers looking elsewhere for other types of jobs. How are things at the high school here as far as being fully staffed and substitutes? Is the teacher shortage impacting anything at the high school here at all?
Well, I think we're a unique situation where we're fully staffed. We've had some staff members move on to bigger, better things over the last year, but we had some quality individuals apply. So we are fully staffed throughout the teachers and the paraprofessionals, as well as support staff and custodial artists, if you will. So I would say that Lincoln's quite unique. We're not wanting for anything. Been here year 5, and I haven't been told no yet. So everything I'm asking for is what we're getting, and I kind of like that, So it's a great place to be. It's a great place to teach and work. So as far as teacher burnout or upset teachers, I think for the majority, everybody's really happy to be where they're at. But I don't think that's the same everywhere else. But at Lincoln Community High School, in my opinion, is a great place to be.
648-5580. Our guest this morning, Mr. David Helm, man who has his hat on straight and knows how to snap the brim. This man is enthusiastic about his job. He just doesn't go to work. He's got to go to work today. He goes with an enthusiasm and a smile, and your students are the better off for that. How about your cadre of substitute teachers? Do you have a nice little background for? Do you have enough substitute teachers available?
Yeah, I've got a list of at least 10, and then there's some that can only work 1 or 2 days, but usually within 20 minutes my substitute teaching needs are filled.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, we have taken advantage of Lincoln College folks. Right at the end of where they want to be. Looking at retirement, but just wanting a little extra. So they're really helping out and bolstering our subs list. So I'm pleased with that, and some of them have come aboard as well. We've snatched them up as staff members. There's quality people there at Lincoln College, and we took advantage of them and their availability. But our substitute teaching list is doing well. However, if there's anybody out there in radio land that wants to add their name to the substitute teachers, have them give us a call. Out at the high school, we'll definitely get them set up with what they need to do.
And the number is 732-4131?
Correct.
Okay.
732-4131.
Send him to the top of the class, will you, Jim? I wanted to call David yesterday, and I was tickled to death I didn't have to look it up. I remembered it, so maybe I haven't lost it all yet. How about the high school association? Not versus our legislators. Do you have a good rapport with our legislators? We have here locally. We're excellent representation here with Senator Sally Turner, and now we have Dr. Bill Howder representing. In November we will. Is there a rapport or a contact group that stays in touch with our legislators as far as high school educators are concerned?
I'm not quite sure what you mean. So our legislators, Sally
do we have any lobbyists, so to speak?
For the teachers?
Yes.
Or their teacher union, their strong group.
Yes.
But we do. I know Sally Turner keeps eyes on what we're doing. She sends me letters when she sees us in the news.
We well served with Sally.
Yeah, Tim Butler's stopped by a couple of times. They've well represented us as far as I know. You're
as you begin to approach September. At what point in time on your calendar do you have your academic schedule laid out for the ensuing year? Like midsummer?
So for next school year, all of that will be starting to get nailed down by January. That's when the students will start signing up for next school year. So we start meeting with our 8th graders in January, right there at the beginning, and then they complete their paperwork, and then we start in with the sophomores through seniors after that.
I think, Loyd, it would be well to mention the fact that over and beyond our teachers, which are exceptionally necessary, we have some folks who are taking care of the buildings out there, those on the mechanical staff, the janitor staff, and I think we just ought to tip our hat to them. Our buildings are in great shape.
Absolutely.
And that's due to they have the same dedication as our academic leaders do. So
they do. They take great pride in the building, as they should. You walk in, the floors they're spotless. Every morning the kids walk into a very clean kept room as if it was the first day of school, and they're top notch. They're top notch. They're dedicated, and they don't stop until it's clean. And then you add all of the athletics, and they stop what they're doing in the classroom and go clean up after a football game or volleyball game, and take care of it. But I think that they're all happy to be there, and we're definitely glad they're there because they take care of the facility so well. Top-notch individuals.
And they've obviously got a system in place for doing what they do. I know after the football games and basketball games, as soon as the final horn sounds or whatever, you'll see a crew of people out, and this person's in these bleachers and this person's down here, and one has a what's basically a leaf blower to blow the garbage out from between the bleachers. So they've got, they definitely know what they're doing, and they've got a system in place. Something I thought of as you were speaking, we were talking about the academic scheduling. We've also talked about the advisory period and a lot of other things. As a principal, can you kind of take us through? I know two are probably alike, but what is sort of like an average work day for you as far as what happens throughout the day for you?
Well, 7:30 is when I walk in. Usually it's a little before that. We get all of the subs in line, make sure all of our classes are covered. It hasn't been a lot this year. Really been blessed. All the teachers are happy to be there, so they're coming in bright and early as well. Get a subs in line, check the emails, check the voicemail, create a list. If I hadn't before, I left the day before, so I go through my list of priorities, and then I get out there, greet the students as they come off the bus. Mr. Strickland and I are very adamant that we need to be out there and develop that rapport with the students. Yesterday morning, I held the door open for them. That's something I might start doing as well, because it's a little closer, and I get to see them in the eye. Hey, wake up, let's go. Here we are. Welcome to school. It's a great day to come out here and learn and be in a safe, positive learning environment. So after that, usually we'll catch up on the voicemails, emails, and then really looking forward to getting out into the halls. I think I'm at my desk about 10% of the day. So the rest of the time I'm out there checking in, putting out fires, if you will, and making sure things are running smoothly. One thing I've added this year is I send an email once a week. Teachers, what's going on in your classrooms? It's cool. So they're taking the initiative to fill out that form. They're telling me, hey, on Wednesday I'm doing a lab on M&Ms and statistics. You should stop by. So I stop in the classrooms. Went into a biology or a chemistry class, and they were playing Battleship with a periodic table. It was pretty neat. Been into a couple English classes. Just going out there to see the kids, what they're doing, interacting with them, so they know who's the man sitting in that office, but I'm really trying to get into the classrooms to be seen, so we can, they know who their principal is. That's important to me.
Yes.
By the time I finish my coffee, it's time to leave. I mean, the days fly by. So lunchroom, out in the halls, checking in with students, and in between that, all the principal duties. You're just signing the paperwork and making sure everything's running smoothly.
As a former board member, I'm going to tip my hat in the direction of your Lincoln Community 404 Board of Directors. No administrator can work without a good board. And administrators who do not have a good board or a supportive board, I feel sorry for them, because it makes our job a lot tougher. So I'd just like to comment that you have a really good, solid board of directors that come from off the streets and various business practices and so forth. And I'm certain that they get advance notice of what's going on, but when they get there, they know they have an agenda. And so just tip my hat in the direction of your board, sir. Yeah,
board members are thankless. It's a thankless job, right? You really don't hear from anybody unless there's an issue, but they do take the recommendations of the administration. They follow through. They ask the proper questions, and I think that Lincoln Community High School benefits from the quality board that we do have.
I had an experience with that, Loyd. I was president of District 27, and my two boys thought that was pretty neat stuff. And I said, listen, that doesn't cut you any slack at all. The responsibility is greater on you than it is on me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but a board member who agrees to take on that responsibility has to agree to look at the issues and read everything that comes to their house from the administrator, and they have to serve with a good attitude without an agenda. And I've seen a couple instances where people came on board with an agenda, and it didn't work very well for them from the get-go. So no dead air, Bill. I'm trying to come up with the age you told us a while ago. You knew that you were involved in education when you started college. You started that as your profession.
Well, I went to Lincoln College right out of high school. Mr. Buffington came up to me after a concert and said, "Do you want to come sing and dance for us?" So I joined the Lincoln College Express and enjoyed Lincoln College for 2 years. I think it really helped me transition from that high school kid that lives at home to a college kid that lives at home, and I think that once I transferred to Milliken, I was better off for it.
Was that the Buffingtons?
Yep, Linda and Bill Buffington.
The Lincoln College Express. They did a wonderful job.
Oh, yeah.
We were the poor when they left the grounds.
Most definitely, most definitely. But a great experience. I learned some leadership skills from Bill. Just really, he strived to have his students have independence, and in music and in real life. It was a learning experience. Really helped transition from that, the 2-year stay-at-home towny perspective of a Lincoln College student to transfer on to Milliken, where I hung up my song and dance and started playing the euphonium over there for the Milliken band, and then continued the music education route.
Back about playing instruments. My mother thought I should learn to play a piano. We had a piano in the house. And the piano teacher told her within a very short time that I was wasting her time and my mother's money.
Well, Linda Buffington might have told me that a couple times in my piano lessons as well, but little did she know it was my money. Dad said, "If you're not going to practice, you're paying for those lessons." I said,
well, that's kind of the way it's supposed to work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, 648-5510. Our guest this morning, Mr. David Helm, a local boy made good, so to speak. From as Billy Randolph used to say, comes from Chetnut, and his folks still live there. So we're happy that he didn't stray far from Logan County once he got out of a university or Milliken University.
We've talked about sort of the current issues and things happening at the high school. What does the future hold? Are there any sort of major projects coming down the pike, or anything you would like to implement that maybe isn't currently happening at the high school?
Well, the facilities are going to constantly get upgraded. The turf, I think the parking lots are going to be updated. If one of the asphalt prices go down, I think we'll jump right on that. As far as academics go, my goals are to provide quality experiences outside the classroom, clubs and activities. I think that clubs and activities are going to continue to grow because we have times for the students to meet with those during the school day. Equity and inclusion is definitely at the forefront of my mind, making sure that all of our students can equitably experience high school, so they can all come and enjoy the experience of high school at the same level, no matter where they come from. The second they walk in the door, they have the same experiences and same opportunities as all walks of life. Academically, I think we're looking at some business education growth at the high school. There's room for improvement there. Janet Cameron's doing a great job, but she's a one-woman show, and I'd like to add to that as well, to that program, business education for sure. And then there's always room for exploration of tweaking what we already have. So I guess the goals would be, business ed and maybe quite a bit more technology. That's the direction we're going. We did add a robotics lab. This is year 2 of a robotics lab, and that's growing. So students are learning how to code and work with the technology to create. And it's a different mindset, but there's room. There's definitely room for growth there at the high school, and then some more designing stuff. So I think that we've got a great team of guidance counselors and administration, including the LTEC route for the technical skills to explore and see what other experiences we can bring to the high school to make more rounded individuals.
Mr. Helm, you mentioned 2 magic words a few seconds ago, guidance counselors. just imperative to have good guidance counselors on a high school staff. They're the go-between between some kids' future or just drifting. And so there's a great deal of expertise put into determining who's going to be a guidance counselor.
Right. We've got two that have been with us for some time, Sarah Sisk and Aaron Varner. They make the world go round. I call them the Cracker Jack team. You walk in there, you know, what can we do? You know, they're just always willing and ready to help the kids navigate high school. We've also added 2 other mental health counselors to that office. So there's 4 individuals in that office. Now, students who are having a rough day or need a breather from their normal day-to-day, they can ask for a pass to go to guidance. And those 2 individuals, Melissa Cremines and Ashley Malhar, joined us. They can put a Band-Aid on what's going on, you know, if a student's having anxiety or just issues with another student or personal issues that they want to talk through. They can go meet with them, get them calmed down, get them to a state of mind where they can go back to class and continue through the day. And if necessary, you know, recommend services outside of the high school or call them in. So
go ahead and pass the baton to you for a final word, sir, if you'd like.
Well, is there anything we haven't asked here, any particular programs you wanted to be sure to mention, give some publicity to that?
No, we've covered them all. You know, I can shout out to the LCHF staff and faculty. They're top notch. You know, like I said, we are fully staffed, but beyond that, we're fully staffed with excellent quality staff members. They all have student achievement. The kids in their hearts and in their minds, they're dedicated to our students, and I think Logan County is definitely benefiting from the leadership and the teacher quality we have at Lincoln Community High School.
And with that, I express appreciation to David Helm, educator, thespian, musician, covers all 3 very well. Thank you very much, David Helm, principal of Lincoln Community High School.
Thanks for having me.